A really good reason not to use banks these days is how much they're spying on you. And it's not because they're big, evil corporations, these big, evil conglomerates or whatever. It's because government's making them. Now, of course, a lot of them are doing it with gusto, but would they still be doing it if it were a free market? I don't think so. So this is from Nicholas Anthony. Banks are narking on you because Congress forces them to. And this has been going on for 50 years, like mostly in the name of the war on drugs. But since 9/11, also the war on terror. We'll talk about that. It says, banks may look like private businesses on the outside, but they have long been deputized on the inside as undercover agents for federal law enforcement. And it's amazing how many businesses they want to do it with. They started with banks, but yeah, they're expanding because of course they do, because that's what government does. What we really have is the illusion of financial privacy. Our information might be shielded from much of the general public, but not from the government. So NZ points out, beginning in 1970, the Bank Secrecy Act got all this started and made 2 changes to the financial system. It requires banks to maintain records on customers where such records have a high degree of usefulness in criminal, tax, or regulatory investigations or proceedings. Are they just useful to the government? That's all that means. And this isn't even getting political. This isn't about where we're talking about, conservatives being unbanked or whatever. It's not about liberal or conservative or anything. It's just what they do routinely to everyone, to all of us, regardless. Second, the law requires banks to report certain transactions to the government. Since 1972, banks have been required to file a currency transaction report anytime a customer makes a transaction over $10,000. And this $10,000 amount is important, and it shows up in a lot of stories. One thing to keep in mind is it's never been adjusted for inflation. So using the estimate from the BLS for 2024 dollars, $10,000 in 1972 is $74,795 in 2024 dollars. So when you're thinking about the amount that they were worried about, think about enough to buy a small house, in an area with low consumer prices and the housing's cheaper. Yeah, that would be like a single individual home or something like that. Or a really fancy car. That's the kind of level they're talking about. $10,000 is not so much today. That's a good used car is $10,000. Yep, they never expanded it, never adjusted it for inflation. And in 1992, they expanded the regime to require banks to start reporting any suspicious transaction relevant to a possible violation of law or regulation. That's the suspicious activity report. The process is shrouded in secrecy. If one of these reports is filed on you, the bank can't tell you why. It can't even confirm the report exists. Don't you have the right to confront your accusers? I thought that was in the Constitution somewhere. Congress expanded the regime further after the 9/11 attacks. This is when it stops being about drug dealers and starts being about terrorists. Among other things, it required banks to collect identifying information and run checks on potential customers before opening new accounts. This is the Know Your Customer requirements, the KYC. These identity verification measures are now seen across financial services, large and small. You see these if you sign up, for example, for a custodial Bitcoin exchange. And this is the thing where they make you take a picture of yourself holding your government ID, your driver's license, or whatever. And then, of course, we covered the time when one of those got compromised and everyone's identities got out and they're out there and they're on the dark web. This is bad news, folks. I've been saying that from the start. This is terrible, not only for privacy, but for cybersecurity. Always keep in mind the bad things that can happen when someone's identity is stolen. So people's lives have been entirely ruined by identity theft to the point where they've committed suicide. This is big, this is important, and we should not be tolerating this from government. Today, the Bank Secrecy Act forces banks to report customers to the government for an ever-growing list of red flags. Those things again. We've talked about them with guns. We've talked about them with opioids. It's happening with your money too. That includes when it is unclear where a customer's money came from, which shouldn't be any of their business. When a customer gets close but does not cross that $10,000 reporting threshold. So even if you don't cross it, if you just get close, ooh, that's suspicious. And I've covered cases like this happening with small businesses, and they're just depositing their take for the day. They just take it out of the till, and it's like $8,000 or $9,000. They take it to the bank, and they do it every day. A few of them in North Carolina have happened, and the IRS has come down hard on them and shut them down and ruined their lives just for this alone. Just for constantly depositing like $9,000. Something as simple as depositing money after selling your car or withdrawing money to cover an emergency expense can land you on this list. And again, think of how little it takes to get you up to $10,000. And remember, it doesn't actually have to cross the threshold. So you sell a used car for $9,000, put it in the bank, they go, ooh, that's suspicious, because it's close to this magic $10,000 number. I mean, just try to get out of a hospital with anything less than $5,000, even something simple. You're paying $5,000 to $10,000. Okay, you want to take out the money to pay that? Suspicious. During the 2023 financial year alone, financial institutions filed more than 27 million reports on customers. That amounts to more than 75,000 reports each day. Every day, people are unknowingly being treated as potential criminals by the institutions they trust with their money. The vast majority of these reports are filed for nothing more than a customer making a transaction over $10,000. For the information in those 27 million reports filed last year, the IRS initiated only 372 criminal investigations. That's how wide this is. How suspicious is it? How much is this? I need to calculate this. Okay, so on average for each of these suspicious activity reports, there is a 0.0014% chance of it actually resulting in a criminal investigation. That doesn't sound very suspicious to me. You could probably throw a rock in a crowd and hit someone and have a more likely chance of hitting a criminal than you could with this method. Or to put it another way, when you have 372 criminals, for each one of those, there are 72,581 innocent people. And the 372 are just investigations. That's not convictions. It says how many of those investigations ultimately led to a conviction remains an open question. So it is ridiculous. You're going to do this to 27 million people for probably, what, a few dozen convictions? If a bank worries there might be unlawful behavior taking place, it can report that, just as you can call the cops if you're worried a crime might be taking place. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. So eliminating this regime of mandated surveillance does nothing to change this. A bank sees something suspicious, they can always report it. They don't need this law to be able to report things that are actually suspicious. The only purpose of this law is to go beyond that. You innocently sell your car for cash, or you pay a landscaper, or you pay a hospital bill, or you do anything like that with cash, with any kind of bank transfer. Yeah, just transfer it out of my checking account. goes down as suspicious. If it's over 10,000, according to the law, and then if it's almost 10,000, that's also suspicious. It's crazy how they do this. It would only stop countless innocent Americans from having their privacy regularly violated. Ultimately, Congress got us into this mess, and it should get us out. It's time to end this decades-old practice of forcing banks to act as informants. Congress should repeal the laws underpinning this regime and restore financial privacy. We really need to get back to this idea of conduit protections, because that's all a bank is. It's a conduit. Money going in, money going out. I put money in my bank, and I take it out and do it, like with any other kind of conduit. With the roads, with the internet, with the phone system. They shouldn't bear any responsibility to be unpaid law enforcement agents. And just like any other thing, we had that guy in Louisiana, I believe he drove a Ford through a crowd of people and killed a few people and injured a bunch of others. We don't blame Ford for that, do we? We don't say, well, Ford, you sold that to a criminal. You should have filed a suspicious activity report. You need to start doing that with everyone you sell cars to. We don't do that. That's ridiculous. So why are we doing it here? No, this is about power and control. It has nothing to do with stopping criminals. Nothing. And that's what the war on drugs was really about. That's what the war on terror was really about. And that's what all the stuff they do, like, oh, child abuse material and stuff like that. That's what it's all about. They don't care about stopping drugs. They're not stopping drugs. They don't care about stopping terrorists. They're terrorists all over the world. They don't care about stopping child abuse. A lot of them are probably engaged in it. They only care about power over you, and they only care about getting your money. That seems to be how I end a lot of these videos, isn't it? Well, because it's a universal truth. And always keep that in mind when a politician of any party opens his mouth. Thank you so very much for watching. Comments for the comment god, shares for the share throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. And of course, donate.pagosity.tv will give you all sorts of ways to make sure I keep doing what I do with one-time donations or becoming a regular supporter to get these videos early and ad-free. Join the monthly live stream and there's a monthly AMA, all sorts of benefits, so please check those out. Until next time, stay strong and be free.